Warmongers poke the Russian bear. I'm Kristi Leigh, and here's today's Daily Brief. Find out how Ukraine's president and the U.S. Treasury Secretary are escalating tensions with Russia. And the CCP is feeling the heat as the lab leak theory gains more legitimacy. Plus, Chicago's mayor loses her re-election bid. How did this happen? And sex predator Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell gets thrown in solitary. Learn why. Starting today with President Vladimir Zelensky's threat.
The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight because it's NATO that we're talking about, and they will be dying.
Now, doesn't that just make you want to wave your blue and yellow flag with glee? Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen meets with Zelensky after pledging another $10 billion in U.S. support. And Michael Tracy points out Yellen tactically endorses the recapture of Crimea. So far, the U.S. has pledged over $100 billion from U.S. taxpayers to drag out the war. The FBI's Chris Wray is doubling down on the lab leak theory, according to Newsmax. He told Fox News that the FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan. And the Wall Street Journal reports Wray says the Chinese Communist Party has been trying to thwart and obfuscate FBI investigations into COVID-19's origins, as well as other parts of the U.S. government and foreign partners. The CCP, of course, denies these accusations. And actor Woody Harrelson is not backing down after big media's attack. Here's the reaction after Harrelson's monologue on SNL. Woody Harrelson spreads anti-vax conspiracies. Woody Harrelson spews anti-vax conspiracies. Woody Harrelson rambles out weed and anti-vax conspiracy. Woody Harrelson makes COVID conspiracy jokes.
News has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things that simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Harrelson's joke was about the biggest drug cartels in the world getting together to buy up all the media. And then the media, in unison, attack Harrelson, effectively proving his point. So he is doubling down. In an interview with the New York Times, Harrelson warned that America is no longer a free country, branding COVID protocols as rather absurd. He says it's wrong. It's 3 years. Stop. And this as we're learning more about the Big Pharma lies. Pfizer confirms it ended COVID-19 vaccine pregnancy trial early, according to Epoch Times. Pfizer officials told CDC advisors in September 2022 that the study was complete. The trial was listed as complete at the end of August last year, but no results have been released, and Pfizer says it still does not have a complete data set from the study and did not say when it expects to receive it. Loser Lightfoot. Mayor of Chicago Lori Lightfoot loses her re-election bid. But how could this be? She was the token identity politics star politician. A woman, check. Gay, check. Minority, check. Why wasn't this a recipe for success? Well, it turns out that woke politics doesn't reduce crime, and folks are fed up with the spike in crime that she hasn't been able to control with her movement to reduce funding to police departments. Light on crime Lightfoot took third place in the primary vote and becomes the first Chicago mayor to lose a bid for re-election in 40 years, according to Breitbart. Paul Vallis, a former public school executive, and Brandon Johnson, a county board commissioner, will advance to a runoff election on April 4th. Vallis's Tough on Crime campaign included calls for adding hundreds of police officers to patrol Chicago. On the other hand, Johnson has aligned himself with radical defund the police movements, despite later backtracking his support for that position. Ghislaine Maxwell reportedly thrown into solitary confinement. Western Journal reports it happened after she said in a jailhouse interview that Epstein was murdered. Maxwell is a convicted sex trafficker accused of procuring underage girls for convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein reportedly committed suicide while behind bars when security cameras were coincidentally not on. In an interview, Maxwell says she doesn't buy that story, saying she believed Epstein was going to get an appeal. The interview would have violated the terms of her 20-year federal prison sentence if she received payment for the appearance. The Daily Mail reports unnamed insiders say Maxwell was minding her own business when they came in, turned her around, and handcuffed her. She got really upset, she was crying, she was yelling that she hadn't received any money. But nobody saw her again for 3 days. So here's today's takeaways. President Zelensky says if Ukraine loses, Americans will have to send their sons and daughters to war, and they will be dying. Got that Ukraine flag in your social media profile yet? Big media proves Woody Harrelson's point about being all in for Big Pharma by uniting to attack the actor for his joke. Lightfoot loses bid for re-election after her soft-on-crime policies in Chicago lead to violent destruction of the city. And Ghislaine is thrown in solitary for saying out loud what everyone believes about Epstein's mysterious suicide. To learn more, be sure to go to AmericanFaith.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter for American Faith. I'm Kristi Leigh.